Hey, what's up, everybody? Yes, I am here listening to these. This collaboration is something that people have been telling me about for, I think, months at this point. And of course, I've seen plenty of people talking about it and playing it in my Discord, as well as obviously a bunch of comments saying I need to get to these themes. So that's what I'm doing today. Both Boss 2 and 3 battle themes will be covered in this video. And I really don't know much else about the event other than just people hyping it up. I've been avoiding a lot of the chatter about it just for the sake that I know I'm eventually going to get to the game. I know that this probably won't be around by the time I do, but I don't want any overlapping spoilers in that front either. So while I've seen some screenshots and stuff, it's nothing too spoilery. So I really don't know what's going on with this, and I guess I got to figure that out through the music. So without further ado, let's go! All right. I'm kind of wondering mostly if they might throw a little bit of the Arknights flair in, since I know these are done by Studio EIM as far as I'm aware. So I kind of wonder if they'll blend the worlds in the music as well. Pretty subtle start. Oh. I'm actually surprised at how reserved this is, to be real with you. Like, I thought it was going to be building up and, like, go into more energy there. I do like the stings in here too. I mean, ominous goes without saying too. Both of the worlds fit that general vibe. So I'm none too shocked with that being a familiar sound here. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, guitar solo time. Woo. Honestly, that guitar is too nestled in the back. That needs to be a lot louder. Just so subtle. Like, you can hear what's happening, but it demands to be out front. It's got such a good tone. It's kind of a shame it's stuck in the background a little bit. See, like that lower synth, that's very Arknights to me. That's more Arknights to me than Limbus Company. Even though they have had some sounds like that, this like digital, like, that like synthetic wubbing at the end there, that pulsating is so Arknights. I love that. It's like they're trying to invoke the feeling of the general menu themes of it. So like that alone is really cool. So listening to this song a few times now, I went back and was just kind of racking my brain about it. I think that this song does the best with the words cold and alone. Like, that's the entire vibe of the song. The song itself is a very cold tone. There's not really anything warm about anything in this song. There's a cold, dry pride to it. Like, it's just very matter of fact. It's almost like binary in that way, where it's just constant information and yes, no. There's no in between. There is no maybe, will they, won't they, none of that. It's just, this is the way, this is what we're doing, this is what I'm going to do. And that's why the cold and alone thing works, because usually people who have that sort of mindset are people who do end up or are lonely. Like, either it starts because they're alone and they end up in this mindset of that's the only thing I can be, or they lose everyone and that's all they become. It could be either way, and I don't know whatever boss this would be would reflect that. Usually at Studio EIM, they do a very good job at reflecting those character beats in the songs, and that's why I always end up getting these relatively accurate when I guess, because they are so good at nailing the character into the song. And I think that this is very much the same. This song had a lot of loneliness in it. I've talked before about how like sometimes a choir will showcase that there is a team of people behind the main character, right? Like there's a supportive feeling to having a chorus behind you. For this song, it was distant. It was way back there. It felt more like strings. It was more of like an eerie call of the damned than it was like a force behind you, like people propping you up, that I've also definitely heard in other songs from Studio EIM before, and by that extension, Limbus Company. So I'm sitting here listening to this one, feeling sadness, regret, pure loneliness, and of course that cold energy that comes from it. And there was also this energy behind it that was kind of lethargic. It was like churning its way through. It wasn't that like whoa 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 stuff that I was hearing at the end of it. That's usually more of like an Arknights thing where they like to include those more techno inspired elements into the songs, just because that's a very like pseudo-futuristic kind of thing going on in their world, and I'm not sure how much of that is reflected in Limbus Company, so I don't think that's coming from their side. I think that's an Arknights thing that they're trying to pull in, which is a really good thing to pull in, and in its own way kind of adds to that coldness, because a lot of like electronic sounds and synths end up sounding very cold when they're not designed to be warm specifically, like have a lot of this rounded energy to it. These were all just very straight tones, and the bass just kind of churning through doesn't have a warmth to it as much as it does a militant, stagnant sort of thing. It's like a march, and that's kind of the same feeling I was getting during the middle of the song. I was noticing this like I'm starting to do the meme there. But that very steady staccato thing, it sounds like somebody huge who's like walking. There's this laborious effort to put every single step, you know? It's just, there's not much else they can do about that because they are huge. You know, I don't know if that's in scale or in ego, might be a little bit of both, but definitely something that somebody who's cold and alone would have, you know? It's just kind of almost like dragging your feet to an extent. There's not much there, so you're kind of putting in a lot of effort to make sure you're moving forward, and you are putting in a lot of effort to be able to do that, to be able to continue moving forward, because you believe that is your only goal, is to continue moving forward. You're like an unstoppable force, and I assume that in this game and in this mode, you as the player are probably supposed to be the immovable object in this way, where like they can't get through you. It might be the other way around, honestly, but I have a feeling that the bosses tend to be, or any really enemy tends to be the one that's trying to move towards the goal, and you're the one that's supposed to stop it. So you have to become that immovable object while this unstoppable force is making its way towards you. Even if it is a little bit slow, it's still very threatening. You don't know how far they're going to go or how hard it is going to be to stop them. So I think a lot of that is what's going on here. I'm obviously not positive. I'm never 100% on these, very few times at very least. So now I guess I'm going to have to listen to the third one. I don't know if this is going to end up being the same boss, like just a phase 2 of sorts. Usually for these games, they end up having different bosses and they count them as different themes. So I don't think this will be like a, here's this boss and here's the same boss part 2. I have a feeling I'm going to get a different sound from the second one, but I have to listen to it to find out. So let's get to it. Oh. That like synthetic vocal in the background sounds kind of familiar. Almost a little Kevin Penkin-esque in that way. Ooh. Okay. This is a lot more lively. The underwater background is kind of cluing me in if this has anything to do with Arknights lore. Maybe it's Saltifera Novice related? Might have something to do with the Seaborn at very least. I'm not sure, but I know enough of the Arknights lore to figure that much out if that is the connection there. It also has that pride that the Seaborn have and the themes I've heard from Arknights, so maybe that's who they're fighting here? I don't know if that's who they were fighting before, though, but this is definitely that energy. Ooh. See, like, nice, full, major warm chord there. Not as cold as the last one. Melted ice. Water, if you will. Ooh, a shift. It's kind of a cool rhythm to have the snare on. I feel like I've heard that, like, vocal synth in something Arknights. It's probably been forever, though. Whatever that song is where it, like, dips. I think that was, like, a Saltifera Novice song. Where, like, ah! Like, it completely dips into it. It's not doing that here, but that's, like, that same vocal approach. I'm getting more confident now. I think I might be right on the money with that. Under tides. That's the thing, the vocal thing. Ooh. Oh, if that's true. If that's related to who they're fighting, I mean, that matches the background, the Seaborn. Oh, now it's all coming together. Daddy has figured it out. I love that chord. Such a good, broad chord. Has a lot of directions to go. Offers a lot to the composition. See what I mean there? Like that build-up? That was abusing that starting chord. Man, okay, yeah, I am much more confident on this one. That is so familiar. I am almost 100% sure that has something to do with the Undertides people in some way, the Seaborn. I am very confident there. All right, so for this one, it ended up being a lot easier for me to kind of figure out the energy and the vibe and what they were going for the song. I am very, very heavily inclined to believe that this is probably an Arknights related character, maybe somebody in that universe that's been pulled into this situation. But also, I don't know how they're handling any of that. Like, I don't know if they're bringing in an enemy from Arknights or if they're making an entirely new original character or something for this scenario, and it's just what they're making it to be. So if this isn't somebody from Arknights, it's probably somebody from the, like, Limbus company side of things that's, like, weirdly obsessed with Arknights and, like, their universe maybe, and that's where the whole story makes sense. That's kind of a general guess because a lot of storylines that have crossovers do that sort of thing where it's like, okay, here's a new character, completely non-canon, but also is like weirdly obsessed with this alternate dimension that these other people exist in. So I could totally see that happening, but a lot of the theme being very, very, very similar to a lot of Arknights stuff, I would not be shocked if it was somebody that they pulled over, but God, the Seaborn sound is just all over the place in here, so it must take place in like the Seaborn's world world. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I've only read so much on the lore, so while I'm aware of certain aspects of the Arknights lore, I don't know how deep that goes, no pun intended, so I'm not confident in saying one way or the other. But with the background image, usually for these videos, that tends to be at least a related area to where they have the fight. It's probably taking place somewhere near or under the water, so yeah, you know, just kind of thematically, I'm picking apart details from that. Context clues tend to be pretty important. Visuals are something that obviously add to that. I might not know exactly what's going on, but I'm doing my best here. Mostly through the music, though. Very Seaborn, very Under Tides. At first, I was like, maybe it's Sultan for a novice, but as I heard more of it, I was like, oh, that's what it is, and it obviously made more sense to me, and it clicked. So this is a really neat song, with the tone of it, too. Like, getting more into the personality reflections of this song, this one had a pride to it. It had this grandiosity to it. It had a lot of bravado, but also it didn't have that cold loneliness that the other one did. So I have a feeling this character, maybe characters with the whole choir thing in the background of this one, purely because that's something I've heard before out of those songs. So maybe this character is like related to those people, maybe a little bit closer, maybe they're all fighting together, or they're just that obsessed with it, and that's part of the theme here. Point being, though, this song is not nearly as cold and sad as the other one was. This one has a lot more of a kick to it. So this character is probably a lot more powerful, which would make sense given the whole boss 2 to boss 3. Usually the third one is stronger, so that natural progression makes sense. But it's also the use of some of those chords I was mentioning, those big broad ones, those ones that span multiple octaves and have just these huge ranges of notes to borrow from, where you can go with those, what those could change into. It could go happy, it could go sad, it could go somewhere in between and be a little bit vague. I think it was kind of vague on this one. It felt lost. It didn't necessarily feel sad or happy. It felt like something wasn't really settling down, which is a common thing for a lot of Limbus themes, especially. They love to just play in that space of like, hey, we're not going to give you a clear answer, because you probably don't know as the player either. You're probably fighting something that doesn't know why it's there, but it's so confident in what it's doing that it's hard to talk sense into it. That's a pretty common theme for a lot of Limbus Company bosses that I've heard, so I would not be shocked there. But point being here, they were using a lot of chords, and especially that big one, where you can go as many directions as possible. The options are basically infinite, and they use those, especially in that last section. As it was wrapping back around, it had that build up, and I was like, ooh, what are they gonna do here? And they shifted one of the keys, and it was just like, ooh, what are they doing? And again, that's where that uncertainty in the theme and their conviction lands, because you don't know if they're going to go left or right at that point. Those transitional chords are so important to a character because it needs to reflect them so well, and having that ambiguity is a core factor of having a character who's not positive themselves. If you have something that's very proud and very just solid in what it is, and their conviction is locked in, usually it's going to sound a lot more steady, a lot more rhythmic, kind of more like the last one, albeit maybe a little bit more prideful and has a lot more major chords, whereas the last one was a lot more minor chords and it just sounded sad and lonely. You know, it's cold and alone versus prideful and happy where they are. It's just a completely different personality type. So for this one, kind of landing somewhere in the middle, I feel like my best guess for the character is that, one, they may or may not be related to Arknights directly. I have a feeling, since we already heard the last song and that didn't necessarily feel connected to Arknights, it could be. This one feeling more like it is probably a misnomer. And I only say that purely because there was such a lack of it, and having only aspects of the song that reminded me of like the main theme makes me think that they were playing it safe with that one. So maybe that's the one that's connected to Arknights, and maybe this one is somebody who is, like I said, obsessed with it. Somebody from the Limbus side of things who is like, I am so into this that I need to be reflected by that in my theme alone, you know, just not even to mention what they could look like or what they're borrowing from. They could be a chimera of things from that universe for all I know. So it's like, maybe, but point being, I think that this character is somebody who's obsessed with it, but from the Limbus Company universe, and that would just make sense to me in theme. As far as the conviction, it's what I said. I think that this person, while being obsessed with the Arknights universe in some way, is also so convinced that they're in the right, that they're causing problems for everyone else, and like many people in the Limbus Company universe, are probably not necessarily bad people, but have been led astray by their aspirations gone wrong. Again, that's just something I've picked apart so many times with Limbus Company bosses, that if this is somebody from that universe, that's just something they tend to do. It's a little bit of a trope maybe, but at the same time, it is very fun to play with that, and there's so many avenues you can take that, where that conviction came from, the source of it, the how and why is much more important than the trope of it being kind of a similar formula. So overall, I think I've said about all I can say on this one, and guess what I can guess? I am very convinced with that second one. The first one I'm still a little bit more wary of because it was a lot more vague, but maybe my guess here is in the ballpark again. I always hope that I'm in the ballpark, even though I can be entirely wrong, and I have been way off the mark before. But let me know in the comments below if I am or not, and of course, if you have any other songs from this game, or if you want me to get to some more Millie stuff, like I've been getting mostly to Millie stuff recently, so if you have something from them you want me to get to, drop in the comments below, and I'll do my best as always to get to those. Or if you just enjoyed this video and you want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!